no other time in the history. Literally, your time is now, so congratulations. I don't know how many of you have watched the Olympics, but I am literally glued to the television at night. I can hardly get to bed. And I'm sure most of you are very aware that Michael Phelps got a cup before he went in the pool. Now, does it make any difference? I've heard all kinds of rumors. Well, somebody's giving cupping, the swimmer's giving cupping, blah, 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 blah. Okay, bottom line is, Tuesday night, Michelle Tafoya, who is a newscaster from California, was shown getting a cupping treatment.
Nice.
Michelle. Great. Yeah.
Who was it administered by?
An MD, I'm sure.
A physical therapist.
Oh, shit.
Now, physical therapists have renamed it, just like they did dry needling.
Yes.
They named it a myofascial release of some kind.
Yep.
Now, what I want you to think about, and think very hard and long, Mina and I have talked a lot about this. Should we come on really hard and talk to you? There are 200,000 physical therapists in the United States. There are probably maybe 25,000 of you. But I also did some research this week and found out that only 6,000 of them have gone to the 24-hour training.
24.
Now, 24 hours is what they get. One of the students who's a physical therapist and now a licensed acupuncturist, he went all the way through school, said, I went to the training. He says, they don't know what to do. And I think what we really need to think about, and you need to think long and hard, how many hours did you go to school? Don't tell me lots, tell me how many.
3,000.
Now, how many, that's right. And I want you to keep that in mind. Because I had a woman call me and say to me, she was referred by the state board, I want to go to a medical doctor who does acupuncture. Well, the hackles on my neck went up and I said, tell me a little bit about what's going on with you. I shouldn't have said that, she threw up all over me, okay? But I did say to her, I think what you are telling me would certainly respond to acupuncture. But let me ask you a question. Do you want to go to a practitioner that has 250 hours, which is what the MDs have? Or do you want to go to a practitioner that has 3,000 or more hours? And she said to me, of course I want to go to someone who has 3,000 hours. I want them to be trained. I said, then you will want to go to a licensed acupuncturist. And she came back to me and she said, why hasn't anybody told us? Now, Fasoma is doing everything that they can possibly do. That's a full-time job, Ellen. Congratulations. No, it's more. I'm going to say this to you. If you have not joined your association, I do not work for Fasoma. I'll give you my disclaimer. If you have not joined your association, you need to join today. And I don't know what the dues are. I don't have any idea, but you need to join today. Because your state boards do not represent you. Your state boards are there to represent the public. They are there to protect the public against who? You. So your professional associations are the ones that are to represent you. I'm going to say something, we're going to kind of jump around a little bit here, but we put this together. There he is. Okay, there's the gymnast, there's Michael Phelps. The first night, Michael Phelps was only cupped on the right-hand side. When he went into the pool last night, he has been cupped on both sides.
Right.
What does cupping do? Don't tell me about yin and yang, and don't tell me about this. What does it
Moves
do?
blood.
Blood circulation.
Blood flow.
What is that?
Blood perfusion.
Well, that's a little bit of a wiggle word for me in the public. So, but you're right, that's what it does.
Blood flow.
Blood flow. And it
Eases
also,
pain. Recovery.
but it also gives him better range of motion.
Yes.
Right.
He's probably, we couldn't get this kind of publicity, ladies and gentlemen. We couldn't pay for it. It's incredible what we've got. Capitalize on it. One of the acupuncturists in Alabama called me and she said, guess what? Television station in my area called me. They came into her office. They called her. Now, there aren't very many in Alabama, so I guess there wasn't too big a selection. But they called her. They came in for an hour and a half. Full film crew. She was on the news. She got people from all over Alabama. She hung a sign outside that says, "I cup like Michael," or "Come in for cupping, Michael Phelps style." Okay? Think about who you know, all right? I'm going to say one other thing about HR 3849. Does anybody know what it is? What is it?
Heroes and Seniors. Acupuncture for Heroes and Seniors Act.
Right. Who has to pass that bill?
The Congress.
The House of Representatives. When is the election for those people?
August 31st, 30th.
How about November? The second, what is it, the second Tuesday in November? All right. How many people, don't raise your hand, how many people in here know your congressional representative?
One of them. One.
5. Ladies and gentlemen, the decision, and here's what has to happen. I know that you're signing a petition to send to Judy Chu. I think that's a great idea. But Judy Chu has to do something in Congress before she can even put that bill on the floor. Does anybody know what it is?
Get reelected?
Get sponsors.
How many sponsors does she have to have, Ellen?
I don't know.
She has to have 100 congressional co-sponsors sign onto the bill. So far, and I saw her three weeks ago, I saw her at a dinner. She's been working at the bill 2 years. How many sponsors does she have? 7. She has to have 100 before she can even introduce it onto the floor, and it will take 300 of them to get it out of the House of Representatives, and it has to go to Congress. Okay? Now, in order for you to talk to your congressional representative, all you have to do is call them on the phone, call the local office, because that's where the decision is made. It's not made in Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen. It is made in the local district. So I don't care whether you play with the donkeys, I don't care whether you play with the elephants. I don't care who your congressional people are that are running. You need to call up and find out how they stand on your medicine. Most of them will go, well, we'll get back to you. Talk to their staffer. If they don't know, it is your responsibility to educate them. I'm sure that your association has material you can give to them. Go in and talk to them. They don't fly. They don't put their shoes on 2 at a time, and you are their constituent. They can raise as much money as they want to raise, but if they don't have your vote, they won't get to Congress. This is our time, ladies and gentlemen, and you have many, many people who are trying to nip at your heels. The chiros, the medical doctors, the massage therapists, the PTs. The what?
Aaron?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your medicine. You don't own all the techniques, but it's your medicine. And if we don't tell people, we're withholding something that could help the citizens of the United States.
All right, Marilyn, by the way, I'm Mina Larsen, the Deputy Executive Director for the NCCAOM.
I just assumed everybody knew who I was.
Everyone knows Marilyn. We talked about cupping, and there's going to be opportunities for us to really be able to catapult acupuncture and mineral medicine, as well as your practice, your certification and credentials into the news. This was an opportunity. When I saw Michael Phelps that night when he won the relay gold, I knew it was going to be a huge day. And what happened? We got calls from Fox News, NBC, ABC, all of them, and I needed spokespersons right away. I started scrambling and calling practitioners in Florida, calling practitioners in LA, New York, and many of them didn't return my calls. Unfortunately, we lost a couple of stories. So the NCCAOM is going to be doing a huge public relations campaign, which has already started. Marilyn's going to be part of that. And I'm going to need your help in order to become the spokesperson for the media. They don't want to talk to me. I'm an NCCAOM representative. I represent national standards. They want to talk to you. They want to talk to your patients. So we need you to be ready, poised, camera ready to be able to talk to the media and be available to us. We can get the media interviews for you, but you need to be ready to be right in there and be able to do an interview. We're able to go ahead and get into some stories, Fox News and some of the national radio programs, but if another event happens like this, we need to have an established spokesperson bureau program so that we can really get there and get to the media. The media is our voice. We need to use it so that we can get acupuncture back to the most qualified practitioners, which is us, our licensed acupuncturists. That is the best way for us to fight the fight with the physical therapists. It's even more effective than lobbying and legislative that has a place in itself, but the public voice, setting ourselves up as the most qualified practitioner is the most important action that we can do, and that's going to require a public relations campaign. So in terms of what the NCCAOM does, NCCAOM is a certification board. What does that have to do with PR? What does that have to do with lobbying? No. All I know about the NCCAOM is that they give me a certificate every 4 years, and that's pretty much it, and I took an exam years ago. Well, there's a lot more to what NCCAOM does than just turn out exams. We have become an organization that is here to represent you as our diplomats to members of the Congress, federal agencies, state advocates, state legislative regulatory members, and of course the media. We have a relationship, as you can see, with the regulatory boards. We're out there, I'm out there all the time. I just came back from Kansas where we got a practice act, a successful practice act. So now we have only 4 states remaining where we testified successfully to get a good practice act there. And so we work with the federal agencies, which we'll talk about. And of course, we partner with state associations like FASOMA so that we can support them in what they do. The Veterans Initiative that they're doing is fabulous. And NCCAOM is going to do its part to get the word out, to let everybody know what FASOMA is doing, because that's what our job is to do. So, and quickly going through these slides, NCCAOM came up with 3 strategic goals that our board passed a year and a half ago. One is to integrate NCCAOM credential providers into the healthcare in the United States. There needs to be a common denominator amongst all of us. When you talk to the federal government, and I live in the DC area, so I'm constantly meeting with federal government agencies, they don't care what one state is doing versus, they don't want to follow what California is doing versus Florida. They want one national standard. That's how they can go ahead and build the dots together to call us a profession. So we want to go ahead and distinguish what Marilyn said, our education, our training, the fact that we are the ones that practitioners need to go to. We have licensed acupuncturists perform the most effective medicine that's out there. And that's the message that we have when we promote our credential providers. Distinguish NCCAOM as the expert source for credentialing and competency standards. We have information that we share with federal agencies to show that we are the most qualified. And again, expand the value of NCCAOM credentials to assure and advance professional opportunities. This is where we come in to help you. Practitioners that are coming in for the first time and need resources for marketing. They didn't get it in their education, they come to us. Job boards, ways to marketing brochures. Anything that we can do to help you be successful, that's what we're here for. We want to help promote you as an NCCAOM diplomat and as someone who is basically out there performing the medicine. So this is a very important opportunity. We want to, the phrase, the medicine is growing, but the profession isn't, we want to turn that around. And that's what these 3 goals are all about. So how are we going to go ahead and achieve these goals? Number 1. Does anybody know what the BLS stands for?
Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Great. Does anybody know what just happened on July 22nd?
Yes. It's a profession.
This is amazing. I have been working for the NCCAOM for 15 years. This is the biggest news that's ever happened.
And you did it.
Well, a lot of us. It was a very collaborative effort. Thanks to our states who gave information for the data that we collected. Thanks to all of you for participating in our job analysis where we were able to get the data to give to the Department of Labor. Thanks to Marilyn and some of the other national leaders who helped write the public comments and all the information that was submitted. So what does this mean for us? This means that we're now officially a profession in the eyes of the federal government. This is huge. What this means is that we are actually going to be in the 2018 handbook. We're going to be tracked by the federal government. So when the U.S. Census comes out, they're going to be able to track the growth of acupuncture. And the 2 qualifying criteria that were needed for the BLS codes were, number 1, we had to be growing, and we were able to demonstrate that. And number 2, we had to be trackable, and we were able to demonstrate that. Before this, in 2004, we were a modality under chiropractors and nursing. We were then, in 2008, we submitted. We were then put under a miscellaneous category. And then now, we got with our own code. So what does that mean in next steps? It means we need to hire a federal lobbyist. We need to hit the agencies and we need to get recognized with the VA, with the Department of Defense, and every other federal agency out there. And that's what we're going to be doing next. So, okay, so that's step number one, which is why I haven't left the Washington, D.C. area. Our office is in Jacksonville, and I want to remain there because Marilyn and I have already met with Dr. Briggs at NIH. We've already met with BLS staff. Next, I've already met with VA staff, and I can tell you, the Department of Veterans Affairs is very interested in building qualifications for us to work within the VA. There's a lot of opposition. The doctors don't want us to do it. They want the medicine. They see the efficacy of our medicine and they want it. And they don't want us to go ahead and get in there and have qualifications. But the BLS is going to be the one thing that's going to help us tremendously in us fighting the fight to get our licensed acupuncturists into the VA at GS-12 status, not GS-8. And we're going to be doing that. All right, the next is here.
Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, yes, and I'm going to talk about the benefits real quick too. Providing current information, which this is huge. How many of you work for a hospital or a clinic? Okay, more and more, after our 2013 job analysis, we found out that a lot of our acupuncturists are now working for employers. You know, some of the solo-based practices are declining, and but more and more people, hospitals are hiring acupuncturists. How do we get our acupuncturists into it? They want information. Employers want information. They want credentials. They want to know how to build acupuncture into their place, and that's what the NCCAOM is doing. And I'll talk a little bit about that too, in terms of how do we get employers to hire us when they're adding acupuncture services to their profession. All right, and then the demographic information. So when you get that survey from the NCCAOM, please don't believe it. Fill it out and give it back to us. We're going to be doing another job analysis in the next year. We need that demographic data so that we can continue to pump the information into the federal government and employers. So please fill that survey out. It's very, very important. All right. Now, the benefits of BLS. Many people say, so how is this going to help me? Why should I even care? Number one, we talked about the federal recognition. Number two, we talked about tracking. Number three, the first step to federal loan forgiveness in BLS. Does anybody know that?
I don't know if we have a lot of students here, but I know that the students, I'm going to just talk about California for a minute. Students in California are graduating with $100,000 plus in student loans. Okay? That's a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen. And we are the only profession that is left that does not have student loan forgiveness. Who has to give us student loan forgiveness? The Congress. There we are, right back to the same people, okay? They're the ones that have to vote it through. And there are many places which acupuncturists can be very effective. So that's one of the things that we have to work on. But we have the first step done.
Right. So this is very important. And again, how do we get Medicare and workers' comp and all of the wonderful reimbursements? Again, the BLS will have a lot to do with that. We are going to be working with a lobbyist, a federal lobbyist, to get that done. In terms of HR 3849, there needs to be a lot of behind-the-scenes work before a federal bill is able to be passed. As Marilyn said, we just can't present a bill and say, let's just make it work. We have to meet with members of the representatives.
Mina,
Yes.
please take a minute and spell out for everybody what this bill's going to do.
Right, right.
It's a multi-year plan.
Right.
We're getting momentum.
Yeah.
Are we talking about HR 3849? HR 3849 is, right now, it's sitting on Judy, it's languishing on Judy Chu's desk, right? It would give you, she wants to add it to Title 10 of Obamacare, which is healthcare, better healthcare for all Americans. It would give you veterans access to get paid, Medicare access to get paid, and military families and active military, TRICARE. It's a very big bill, but you're right, it is not a one-time shot, okay? She's had it there, it's been there, I believe it was penned, what, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years ago?
I talked to a couple of Congress people, and it's gone through a few different name changes,
Right.
language changes, so they're familiar with it.
Well, it started out as the Henchy bill, what, 15,
Yeah, right.
15 years
15
ago?
years.
The Henchy bill was never able to get more than 61 signatures. It never got introduced onto the floor. we're right back to who was your congressperson, right? We need to get them to sign on. I got 2 in California that I had signed on, and I said to them, I said, you need to go back and get signed on to that bill. I'm going to tell you this, one of my students at Empress College in California says, why don't we start a Move Up campaign? Now, I'm not real technical savvy, as you can tell, Mina works the machine here, okay? So we started a little, we wrote up.
Vanna White.
What?
Vanna White.
Vanna White. That's right, I turned the letters, okay? We started a move, I think it's called Move Up, it's a social media. We've had about probably almost 3,000 people look at it, and what we did was we wrote a little space, and but we've had about, I think it's 350 people sign on now. And what it is, as soon as they get a few signatures, they send them to the congressperson, asking them to sign on to the bill, all right? So we need to start tracking it. Do you know if she's got more than 7 signatures? Well, we have to get to 100, so we have
There needs to be a lot of work before we can get this bill, and there needs to be a lot of backroom decisions, discussions, and meetings with members of the federal, government in order to make that successful. So, in terms of goal number 3, what's the NCCAOM going to be doing for you? What is your, $230 decertification fee due? Need to know. It's not one. We're going to do an annual conference next year. NCCAOM is planning on doing an annual conference in collaboration with state associations and other entities so that we can give back. And it's not going to be just discussions with clinical. It's going to be marketing and a lot of other valuable courses that we're going to be able to give back to you. And training, which is very important. We're doing monthly press releases. We've hired a national public relations campaign who's on retainer with the NCCAOM, and we're getting the word out about acupuncture.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We've got to get into the media. We've got to be the expert source for the media. That's very important. The next thing is creating a job board. We're going to be doing that on our new website. And then, of course, taking the finding practitioner and making it the source for the media to go to. I get called all the time. How do I find somebody? So that's what we want to do. And then, of course, we talked about the PR campaign. In order to have a successful PR campaign, I'm going to need your help. So if you're interested in working with me, if you have good marketing materials, if you need good marketing materials, come see me because we need you. We need a lot of soldiers in the PR campaign that would have to move forward.
How do we contact you?
I have my business cards. I'll give it out to you and then you
You
can
give
let me
us
know.
that information now.
Yeah. We have an NCCAOM booth. Jennifer and Amira, my 2 colleagues, are right here. I have business cards. Come see us. If you have questions about anything, just come see us. We're here to
Can
help.
you just tell us your email address?
Yes, you want to write it down right now? It's M. Larsen at thencccom.org.
Thank you.
All right, so, and then of course a PR toolbox that you can go into to get information to help build your practice. How many of you knew that the NCCAOM offers free websites?
Yes.
Okay. If you don't have a website, get on and get your free website with the NCCAOM. That's what we're here to do, to help build your practice. All right. This document, Credentialing of Acupuncture for Hospital-Based Practice, we put a task force together, Jennifer will help with it, to create a document for hospitals, clinics, integrative medicine centers, and hopefully the VA and the DOD to hire licensed acupuncturists. That's what they wanted, that's what we created. This is a resource guide. Anyone who's a diplomat can go grab it. It's on our website. Anyone who's not a diplomat can pay a couple dollars and get it. We have taken this document, we've given it to all the centers and hospitals so that they can help create credentials, and there's a criteria. And what's the criteria? Your education and training.
NCCAOM certification. Certification.
And certification. I mean, that's the thing, guys. A lot of you come to me and say, well, why do I need to be certified?
I won't.
I can't go in there and pitch the argument about qualification without certification, because that's the gold standard of what agencies want. Go ahead.
Okay, right now, under Obamacare, there is a thing called community teams. Is anybody aware of it?
That I didn't know.
Yes?
No.
Okay. Community teams are something that has to be formed. It's behind. The timing was supposedly 2013. But a community team is a group of medical providers within a community, along with other healthcare resources and agencies. And it's a volunteer position to begin with. I would recommend you contact your local hospital I would start first with the person who is doing community marketing and find out if the hospital in your area has formed a community team. Volunteer to be on it, because those community teams are going to form what they call medical homes. The medical home is going to be made up of every variety of healthcare providers. Now, ultimately, what is going to happen is there's going to be a change in reimbursement from insurance companies. They won't be paying fee for service as they pay now.
Right.
They will be paying for
Outcomes.
outcomes. And those outcomes will be coming through medical homes. Every medical home will have to have at least one acupuncturist. Doesn't mean you're necessarily in the same building, but you will be working together as an integrated team approach. So find out who's, Amy, is your hospital started forming them? Do you have a medical?
You know what, I don't know. That's interesting. I honestly don't know.
Okay, well, I know.
We have a massive community relations department, but that's not what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's where you start. You start and find out who's forming the thing. Call your local hospital
That
and
I'm
find out.
already
In
on.
California, what has happened is we already have medical homes formed. And if you're in a certain insurance company, you are assigned to that medical home. If you don't like who they refer you to, you have to go back to your insurance company and get assigned to a different medical home. But it is on its way. It's part of what's happening.
All right, this is not a political map here with the red states and blue states. This is,
California thinks it's old.
Right. This is a map of the progress that we're doing with licensing standards. As many of you know that, how many of you know that Kansas recently passed our first practice act?
Yes.
I was in Topeka on last Monday, and I sat down with the regulators there, and we wrote their rules and regs to make sure that our standards are there, and to make sure that we don't have physical therapists and others, jumping in. Now, of course, we do have to play nice with the other professions and make friends with them, but at the same time, those standards prevent, people who are, who don't have the qualifications to be able to practice. What's next? Next is, we've got Wyoming. I just talked to them, and they're hopefully going to be doing a bill this year. We've got South Dakota, which actually they're trying to get together to do a bill either this year or next year. We've got Oklahoma, which
Yeah, Oklahoma is going to present their scope
in February next year, right? And then Alabama, who's working on. They have a lot of challenges in Alabama because of just the history of just how things have been practiced there. But I know Maryland's been working on that too. So we have to make all of this blue, guys, because to get federal recognition, we can't have states that are not regulated. California. How many of you know? How many know what's going on in California in terms of exams?
Okay, my turn.
All right.
Okay, this is huge. The state legislature Sunset Review Committee gave the California board 2 years instead of 4 because they had been so ineffective in making decisions. There have been so many problems with the California State Board. As of June 10th this year, based on a meeting that was held in March, because our executive director was, I'm going to say she was fired. She was actually escorted out with 2 policemen out of the building. The chair of the board also resigned, and when the new chair met with the Sunset Review Committee, they said to her, you will need to make a decision and act fast. And at the June 10th meeting, they voted unanimously to accept the NCCAOM exam as the exam for life.
That's huge.
Yes.
Exams in California. They don't have to go ahead and it's going to, people can move and mobility.
Wow.
So it's huge and we are doing a lot of work. It's gonna start in 2019, but we're doing a lot of work. We're looking at routes for those who are licensed in California, not NCCAOM certified. There's a lot of things that we have to do. But this is wonderful because this, again, brings the national standards that we need to present to the federal government. Maryland is a huge part of this and providing.
It's like herding cats. Sometimes it's hard, but we made it.
We made it. All right, so, and again, we're talking about herbs, a lot of we're trying to help states to include herbs in their scope, like we did in Florida a couple of years ago. And more states are coming to us and saying, we want to practice herb. I mean, we are practicing herbs, and we want to be recognized for it, because the climate of herbs are changing really quickly, guys. And I'm telling you, the pharmaceutical companies are noticing, and within a year or two, they're going to want herbs under their own.
Okay, this is my turn. Okay. I got wind about 6 months ago that Bayer Pharmaceuticals, everybody know who Bayer Pharmaceuticals are? Big dogs, right?
Big dog.
Big dogs, okay? Bayer Pharmaceuticals purchased a Chinese herbal manufacturing plant in China along with all their formulas. And about 6 weeks ago, I got news of something else, which was Bayer Pharmaceuticals has purchased a not herbal, but a vitamin and mineral dietary supplement company out of Germany.
Which one?
And I thought, and then I heard another rumor that Bayer Pharmaceutical had gone to the FDA and wants to open up the Deshay Act, which was passed in 1994. So the first thing my little brain went to was, oh my,
Yeah.
they want to deem herbs as
Right.
no, that is what they want. They are talking about a third category, which would be Chinese herbals. Now, so I thought, wow. So I immediately called Michael McGuffin. Does anybody know who he is?
The head of APA.
He's the head of the American Herbal Products Association, and Michael lives in my area. And I said, Michael, I need to talk to you now. We need to know what's going on. So I met him on a Saturday morning. And I said, this is what I'm hearing. And he said, well, let me tell you what actually happened. All three of those things have happened, but he was at a meeting in Washington, D.C., because he spends 2 weeks a month back there advocating for American herbal products. And he said, I was at a meeting, and the woman who was the vice president of Bayer came out and said, I need to talk to you. So Michael said, okay, I want to talk to you. And she told him about talking to FDA. What do you think Bayer wants to do? This is their goal.
Own Chinese.
They want to be the largest over-the-counter seller of Chinese herbal products in the world.
Absolutely.
Big screw.
This is not something that is probably going to go away. All right, so I want you to start thinking about what we have to do. My first thing was, we need to go to Bayer. We need to tell them, consult your acupuncturist, just like they say, consult your doctor.
Right. So we need to keep an eye on this, and I know we're running out of time.
Okay.
So basically,
We've
some of the things that NCCAOM does to promote you in terms of your states and standards, federal initiative, I've already gone over all of that. There's our booth. Where we try to go to integrated medicine conferences, medical conferences to get the word out about acupuncture, oral medicine, and NCCAOM. And then, of course, I just want to make sure you know this. Marilyn talked about getting involved with your state association. The NCCAOM gives PBA credits for being involved. Yes. Right. All the board members get PBA credits, for their recertification. That's why another important reason for you to be involved. And then NCCAOM is going to start an academy, which is because we're a certification board, there's so much we can do to promote ourselves, to promote. We are creating a subsidiary membership organization under the NCCAOM where we will be able to promote you. And what do we want from you guys? We don't want your money, we don't want membership dues, we just want you to be there to help us, be our voices and our ears. And that's going to be launched early next year, the NCCAOM Academy, so that we can continue our work that we're doing to promote you and advocate for you.
Thank you.
I want to just say one more thing. The ICTM, the International Classification of Traditional Medicine, we are going in front of the World Health Organization General Assembly October 12th and 14th. We are presenting to them the draft version of your diagnostic codes. And our presentation from the United States includes how people are going to be trained in using the codes. And we are also doing a video with people who are speaking on your behalf, Stanford University, Richard Nimsal from the Veterans Association, and a couple other people to say that the United States of America supports the inclusion and the integration of these codes into the ICD codes of the world.